So how this all started, me going to the Marshall Islands, was I went to the University of Michigan after I graduated from here, and it was like my last semester there. There was like an international global fair, job fair kind of thing going on, where a bunch of like international companies come and you can talk to them about different abroad opportunities. And so I just happened to run into an organization called World Teach, which is a nonprofit organization that goes all over the world, sending people to go teach in various countries, developing countries. So I talked to the guy there, and I pretty much decided right after I got done talking to the guy that I wanted to do it, just because I've always wanted to go to a nice tropical island, and it just sounded awesome to do. And so I pretty much applied right after, I went home, and then it wasn't too hard going through the application process to get it, and I ended up getting it. And so, like 2 months later, I ended up going to the Marshall Islands to teach English for 1 year. I only planned it for 1 year, but then I loved it so much that I ended up coming back for a second year. And my girlfriend actually came with me that time too, so that was pretty cool. So the title of my little presentation is called Surviving Paradise. And the Marshall Islands, if you don't know, is northeast of Australia, like between Australia and Hawaii. So it's just a tiny, tiny chain of islands that you really, if you go on Google Maps, you have to zoom really far in order to see it. So it takes about, 13 hours to get there from Michigan. So I had to take a flight from here to LA, where I met all the other teachers. And then we took about a 5-hour flight to Hawaii, and then a 4-hour flight to the capital. And then we stayed in the capital for our orientation for about 3 weeks. Sorry. I thought I turned it off. Girlfriend. It's the girlfriend, okay. Could put her on speakerphone. She has experience too, so cool. Okay, anyway, 3-week orientation, and then we just slept in like the local elementary school. We slept in the classrooms. It was like 15 people to a room, so it was pretty dirty, stinky, and there was lots of cockroaches and things like that, so that was fun. So after 3 weeks in the capital, we were supposed to go to everyone, so there's 29 atolls in the Marshall Island, 29 different island atolls, and then within those 29 atolls, there's over 1,000 different little islands, like small patches of land, over 1,000. But they're not all inhabited. Some of them are just like sitting there, not really doing anything. But there's 29 different atolls, and then so after the 3-week orientation, all the teachers went off to their different atolls. And there was about 27 teachers there when I was there. And on my island, the first year, my island was called Woodjay Atoll, and I went with 2 other people. One person I lived with, he actually was pretty crazy because he went to Michigan State and I went to Michigan, and we ended up living together, so it was crazy how that worked out. And then another guy, so me and him, we taught at the high school, and then the other guy, he taught at the local elementary school, but he ended up leaving because he couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle the kind of life there, I guess. Which there has been people that don't finish the program because they just can't handle the harsh living conditions, but in all the orientation materials that you read before you even step foot on the plane, they all explain to you how hard it's going to be living over there, and then people still end up going home. It's I don't know what they expected to get from it. They just want to chill on the beach all day or something. So there we go. So this is what it looked like. I did a bad job taking pictures here. I should have took pictures and videos, but for some reason I didn't, because I didn't really capture how beautiful it is. I did a bad job. Well, yeah, but I should have took more. So yeah, this wasn't my house. This was a different. This is a view from the hammock of a different teacher's house. He worked at the high school, and I ended up being really lucky because we became really good friends. And I just hung out at his house all the time. He actually was the son, of the chief of the whole islands. So he's really a big deal. And he was the son of the former president of the Marshall Islands. And so when I went back to the capital after my year here, spending time with him, I actually got to hang out with the former president of the Marshall Islands. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, it's really beautiful. I sat here a lot, just sitting there, relaxing. It's the first island I went to. This is Wutje. Is your ideal tropical paradise. And the second island was a different story, though. It's pretty much the exact opposite. All right, so it's called RMI, the Republic of the Marshall Islands. They gained independence from the U.S. in 1982. So I don't know what officially it's called. They're like a U.S. protectorate or something like that. So basically, they have these 29 different atolls, and they're in a compact agreement with the U.S., in which the U.S. rents out some of their land because it's in a good place strategically for military operations. So the second year I went to a different island, different atoll. It was called Kwajalein, and you may be familiar with it. It's where the U.S. military base is in the Pacific Ocean. And so they rent the land there from the Marshallese government, and in exchange the U.S. pays them a lot of money, gives them defense, postal service. So they use the United States Postal Service. And the people there, they can emigrate to the U.S. for free. So it's just as if a U.S. person was going to the U.S. from there. It's the same thing. So it's not hard at all for them. And there's a lot of Marshallese people now, as a result of that, live in Oregon area, Seattle area, and then Arkansas. There's a lot of them in Arkansas. They all work at the chicken factories down there. And a lot of kids come over to go to school here for that. So, and they use the U.S. dollar as well. So same currency, you don't have to exchange anything. Makes it really simple. And the reason they all come over here, a lot of them, is because there's not a lot of economic opportunity there. So they have to come here and they have to work for their families and send money back home and things like that. And there's no good education system there really, so they don't come over here with any skill, so they have to, when they get here, they're basically working the lowest of the low jobs, in the factories and stuff like that. So kind of sucks. So their sources of income, they rely heavily on U.S. financial aid. That's basically where I'd say 95% of their income comes from. But the agreement they're in with the U.S. is going to end soon. I don't know the exact year, but like 2022, the agreement's supposed to end. So then if that ends, then they're going to have no money coming in, and it's going to be a scary situation for them. So hopefully they can somehow renew it, because if they don't have that money, I don't see how they're going to survive, because a lot of their natural resources are also being depleted as well. Like their coral reefs are starting to deplete and go away because of the effects of global warming, and so there's not as much fish there anymore, and so they have to rely on lots of imports, and they don't have hardly any exports. The only thing they can export really is copra, which is coconut oil. So on the outer islands, so there's the capital island, and then the capital island's pretty much just like a really bad part of the, like a low-income part of the U.S. It's developed. It has grocery stores, electricity, cell phones, all that, TV. But the outer islands, they don't really have those things. And so people on the outer islands spend a lot of the time making copra, which is just like husking coconuts, and you leave it out in the sun, and it just goes through this little process, and then they put it in like big bags, big sacks, and when the ship comes in, they send it off, and then they get a certain amount of money for that. And then they bring that to the capital to make coconut oil and stuff like that, coconut products, and then those products may get shipped to the U.S. or different places. Some Marshallese people are teachers, not many, store clerks, but other than that, there's not really hardly any jobs. They're pretty much rely everything on just the U.S. financial aid to survive, and also handicrafts, but that doesn't bring in that much income. I actually have some. I only had small ones. My girlfriend has big ones, so you can just pass these around during the presentation. They make tons of these, and they're not the fanciest ones they have, but at least it's something. How much does it cost? I don't even know. I got all mine for free, so they give you lots of these when you're leaving and coming. And what's that?
What was so bad about the second one?
I like that one the best. And here's some earrings and stuff. What'd you say?
What was so bad about the...
Oh, I'll get there. It's coming. Maybe this will end up being a long presentation. Okay. Teaching made me a lot better public speaker, so I'm glad I did it. If I didn't go there, I'd be so nervous right now. All right, let's continue. So those are cool handicrafts. They make those from coconuts. The coconut tree, I think, is one of the greatest resources ever because you can make so many things. You can make shelter, food, drink. It gives you coconut juice. And you can make handicrafts and tons of other things like mats that you lay on the floor with, and just you can make so many things with coconut trees. So they're like such a good resource, and they grow in that harsh environment. So there's the students. Kind of hard to see, but there's my students. I taught pretty much. The first year I taught 9th grade. The second year I taught 9th grade. Well, this is called pre-9. This is actually before 9th grade. So after I finished 8th grade, if you have to take a test, and if you don't pass the test, then you have to go to pre-9 before you can go to 9th grade. And so I taught these girls. I was with them a lot, but they weren't very nice all the time. I loved them, but they were crazy. So here's some things about the students. They were obsessed with taking pictures. They would want my phone every single day, and they just go around taking pictures, and they just go absolutely bananas with it. I think on my laptop they must have taken over 1,000 pictures when we were there, and I put them all into a little music video at the end, so it's kind of cool. They're very hard to control, mostly because I'm just a weak-willed person, so I give in to people a lot, just because I always feel bad when I have to say no. I'm not good at saying no. I'm getting better, though, but they warned us at orientation that this is how it's going to be. They're not going to listen to you, and you really have to be strict, and this is something I didn't really get down until my last semester there. But I think now I could do it and go back and get a pretty good hold on them. You just have to do what you say you're going to do. You can't give in, and just like raising a toddler, basically. I did not do a good job, though. A girl threw a rock at the board the first day. I was in class, just random. I don't know why she threw a rock at it, but they just do crazy things like that, and they just get completely wild, and it's so hard to make them be quiet because they can't even understand you. their English proficiency is so diverse. You can have a kid in your class that speaks perfectly good English with you, and you can hold a conversation, and there's another kid in that same class that doesn't even know how to write hi in English. And so that's one of the bad things about their education system is they got people of way too varying levels in the same classes, so it's hard to teach both of them.
What's their native language?
Their native language is Marshallese. Oh yeah, I was supposed to say Yakwe Alep at the beginning. I forgot. That means hello all. Yakwe Alep. Ajet Amor, that means how are you? But they also speak English. They learn English since they're in kindergarten. So it's hard. I feel like I held some kids back because I have to go slow for the not so good kids, and then the other times the kids that don't know anything don't know what's going on at all, so they just sit there and stare and don't do anything, and it just makes me sad that I can't help them. Yeah, so they don't really care about school just because their country is so poor, and it's hard to see what opportunities are there. There's some kids that do, but a lot of them don't. But it's not their fault by any means. It's just the way the system is, and they gotta fix it. So the first island I went to, Whitjay, they had the #1 ranked school, so they're pretty good. They were pretty good about everything. But the second year, I went from the best to the worst. They were the lowest ranked school. And so I saw two very different spectrums of the education system. And yeah, even though they can be vicious, they're also very forgiving. And Marshallese people are very hospitable, and they're really nice. And kids will just run up to you like they don't even know you and hold your hand and stuff like that. And they don't hold grudges and stuff like that. And I felt like I never yelled so much in my life. I'm a quiet person. I never thought I could get so angry, but I would get so mad at them just because I couldn't get them to listen. And I thought I was so mean, but then they come back and they're just so nice to you. I still get messages from them on Facebook telling me how I was their favorite teacher, and I can't believe it because I felt like I was so mean because I was always yelling and stuff. So yeah. So there's two of my students. This was from Whitjay. This is more of an outer island than Kwajalein. So they're in two different chains. There's a Rodic chain and a Raleigh chain. And so this is the Whitjay. This is their uniform. Their colors are red. This was a Chinese Marshallese student that always would bring me pancakes. So he was my favorite student. He brought me pancakes almost every single day to eat, and it was awesome. Because I didn't really have breakfast food because they don't have stuff like that there really. So I never really ate breakfast except when he brought me food. So that was really cool. And then different school colors, that was in Kwajalein. Kwajalein is where the military base is. So Kwajalein is a little more developed than this one, Whitjay. And so yeah, this is a little note. They always write cute things like this. It says, Taylor loves Lance. Taylor's my fiance. You're the best teacher ever, miss. I love you. And so even though you're being really mean, they'll come back and write something like this and then just make you feel terrible about yourself. And yeah, I just can't believe how much they like me, but they always say I'm the favorite teacher, so that's cool. Because corporal punishment is allowed there, so they listen to the other teachers. They listen to the local teachers, because I think we always ask them, why do you listen to them but you don't listen to us? And they're because they hit us and stuff like that. So, but we weren't supposed to do that. So, yeah. So, I guess when they got to us, they just let everything out. Not cool. So for fun, we swam on this little dock a lot. We jumped off, me and my roommate. It was pretty cool. Played frisbee a lot. The first island I was on, it was only about, to walk from one end to the other, it was about a 20-minute walk. And then, so it's not very big at all. And to walk around the whole island would take, I don't know, maybe 3-4 hours, something like that. So really small, really beautiful. We climbed trees, husked some coconuts, I learned how to husk coconuts there and drink kava, and there's lots of parties. We'd share food, and there's a lot of there's expats there, like people that come from Philippines. There's a lot of Filipino teachers that come to teach there because there's not a lot of opportunity in the Philippines, so they have to come here. And there's people from different neighboring islands. There's a lot of Fijians there that come to teach there, and people from Kiribati too, that some of those were there. And so we hung out with those kinds of people a lot. Yeah.
In your high school on the first island, how many students were there total?
Students, I think it was like 260 something. Yeah, 260 something. So on the island, it was about 800 people total. Yeah.
And then the second one, was it a lot smaller?
No, I think it was about the same size. Like, the number of students is the same size, but it's kind of confusing. I'll explain. There's two of my students. That's Diana Lynn. Lots of their names have like Lynn's in them, and like Ina, Rosalina, and things like that. And some of them have English names. Like her name was Rachel. That wasn't that cool, but some of them have pretty cool name. There was Ezra, was a cool name. Roma Lynn, Baime. So they had cool, unique names, and yeah, they're really cool because like they always like call me like their father. Not in a like weird, creepy way, but like that's just what they do. Like they'll call you their father, and so like just makes it seem cool. Helps you feel more connected to them. And that's another student. And so this is the first island, Wutje. It was really beautiful. Like I said, it was a tropical paradise. That's my roommate Evan, and so yeah, that's part of the jungle. And you can pretty much any given time, if you want a coconut, you can go get coconuts and a fresh coconut right off the tree. And it's better than anything you would ever get here in the store or anything like that, or out of a can, 10 times better. So we walked through jungle a lot. We walked to neighboring islands. So there's Wutje. So there's Wutje Atoll. This is Wutje, and then there's different islands within this atoll. And then so I'm on Wutje. And then there's like a neighboring island over here that has a different name. But within the Wutje Atoll, people only live on 3 of the islands. So there's like Wutje, and then there's an island called Wootamage over here, and then another island, I forgot the name, over here. And you had to take a boat to get to those. Or you could walk, but it would take a really long time.
Did students come from there? Did they have to come to you by boat?
Yeah, they came from these really remote islands. But to get to the capital, a plane took us from the capital to land on it's just a strip of grass. It's not even concrete. It just lands on the grass on the atoll. And when we were coming back from winter break, we went back to the capital for our winter break to do some mid-service orientation. And our plane almost crashed, for real. It started the guy was wobbling all over the place, and so it was because there was a guy in a wheelchair. He was crossing the thing, and so he started wobbling, and so he was going down. He had to go back up, and then we had to go around. So the guy in charge of the airplane got really mad, and they wouldn't come after that. Yeah, that's my roommate again. He taught 9th grade as well. I taught math, science, and English. He taught geography and history and English. That's me in a little poncho. This was on the outer island. So the place where I taught high school at, that's the outer island. But then you take a boat to those other islands. I consider those the outer islands. Those are even more remote. The place I lived on, they had electricity. I had an AC in my house, so that was really, really nice. We were one of the only houses to get that, so I felt kind of bad. But so they had electricity. Cell phones didn't work though. The internet basically never ever worked, and we all had to share one single computer. So I rarely talked to my girlfriend. I wrote letters. But then once you go to the outer island, they don't even have electricity. They have a little bit of solar, but it doesn't work that well. So there's basically nothing on these outer islands. There's no stores. There's just nothing. There's just like a couple houses, and they fish, and they'll have to get food from the bigger island to survive. And that one's really, really small. And this tree, that's a breadfruit tree. They eat on the islands. There's pandanus, which is called bup in Marshallese, papaya, coconuts. A coconut is called ni in Marshallese. Breadfruit, that's that tree right here. It's hard to see. I didn't take very good pictures, like I said. But from the breadfruit, they would make chips. Like you'd slice them, kind of like you'd make potato chips. They'd do that same kind of way and fry them. Those are really good. We made those a lot. They eat fish, turtle. With the turtles, it was you really have to prepare yourself before you go there to see some things you don't want to see, because they're not always like nice to the animals in the way you would want them to be. Like they're not very nice to the dogs. They like abuse them. But you shouldn't really say anything, because that's just the way their culture is, and you don't want to seem like ignorant. But like a turtle, they would catch a huge turtle like this, and they would just flip it over and leave it on the beach until it died for a couple of days. So it's kind of sad. So it tasted really good though. And shark, I had shark. It was good. So they eat dogs too. I mean, but the dogs they don't look good there. So I mean, you don't have to feel too bad. I ate some dog, and it tastes just like steak. Pigs, chicken, and the kids are absolutely obsessed with Kool-Aid. Those little Kool-Aid packets. They'll just eat straight out of them. Their favorite thing is to put the Kool-Aid sugar on top of ramen, like raw ramen noodles. They don't cook the ramen. They put that and eat it like chips and seasoning. That's like their favorite things to eat. So their hands are always dirty. They're always red. Their lips are always red, and they're obsessed with candy, which is really bad because they don't have any dentists there. They only have dentists visit from, other countries, and so a lot of them have bad teeth. But surprisingly, a lot of them also have really good teeth. Like a lot of them have like perfectly straight teeth, more than you would think, and they're really white, and it's just like weird that it's that way. And rice, they eat tons of rice. You eat rice with every single meal. All right, how much time? Oh, am I going over time? Oh. Okay, I didn't realize it was going to be so long. That was a kid called Johnny. I used to go hunt coconuts with him every single day after school, so that was really fun. And he taught me how to make coconuts and things like that, so that was awesome. That was just a little funny clip. Do you want to see it? Sure. Okay. It's like 5 seconds long, just to see how they're really goofy. Oh, wait. Where's the sound? I think I turned the sound off. That's pretty funny. The second island? No, that was the first island. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't realize how long this is going. All right. There's the island. They're really good at climbing coconut trees. They can climb huge coconut trees like really, really high. Like, it's scary. Like, I learned a little bit how to climb them. You see these little things right here. You'll see these all along the trees. There's a hole right there. With their machete, they cut it and makes little steps, but they don't even need the steps. They can just like shimmy up there all on their own, and they kick the coconuts down, and then you husk them and all that stuff. So it's really, really impressive. They do it so easily. That was a teacher. That was a Filipino teacher. She was from Kiribati, I think. These are my students. We would drink coconuts during class sometime, so that was cool. All right, so this is the other atoll. This basically sums up what the other atoll was. This is called Ibai. Basically, it's known as the slum of the Pacific. And So I went from paradise to this, which I'm still glad I went there because it's good to see things like this. So it's really sad, I think, because there's Ebi, which is like one of the most densely populated places in the entire world. That's it. All these houses on this one little tiny island. I don't even think it might be like a mile long, maybe less. And then, so over here, and then you have to take a boat to the military base. So from the capital, Majuro, you will take a plane to Kwajalein, and then you get on a boat from the military base. And there's lots. The Americans live on the military base, but I mean their island's really nice. They all have like nice houses. I mean they're not big, they're tiny houses, but it's like it's nice there. So it just makes me kind of sad seeing that it's so nice there, but here is just a complete slum. It makes me feel bad. So Americans, they work there, and then you have to take a boat to here, Ebi, and it's just really lots of trash, and there's a dump there where they put things in, but it just flies right back into the ocean, and tons of trash is all along the shores that's from other countries and things. It just rolls up all along the shores, so yeah, it's not doing too good. It's kind of corrupt there because, like, from that agreement, they pay the local tribal leaders. They get payment for renting out their land, but a lot of times they use it for themselves and they don't give it back to the people. You know, they give themselves a nice house first. They buy themselves a car. The Arouge, which is the chief of the island, he has like 5 personal boats for himself, and so it's kind of corrupt. And he had his own little private island with this huge seawall, nice seawall, just his. You know, he didn't build a seawall for them, but he built one just for himself. So I just think it's a little bit corrupt in that way. But I didn't teach on Ebi. The school was, you had to take a bus or a truck. Like there was a little freeway kind of thing connecting some neighboring islands, which is called Gujigu. I can show you a little bit. This is a little bit of the islands. So this is Ebi. That's the Haas. No, that's a school. That's a school that's out of business, though. So that's just a little bit what it looks like.
And how long were you there?
A year, yeah.
So was school run year-round there?
Yeah, but this school had lots of problems. Like they had to take a bus, but the road is so bad, the bus always would break down. So a lot of the times the bus wouldn't work, so school would get canceled because they couldn't get there. Yeah, it was just really difficult because you have to drive 3 islands over to get to school, and it just makes everything really, really difficult. And the school is just not very good, so it's very third world. A lot of them just live in these little shacks made of wood paneling. You know, they make their houses out of the things they get from the dump and stuff like that. So, and there's hardly any coconut trees. You'll see there's like a couple nice houses there, but only like 1 or 2. So that's that. So that's Ebi, and then that's basically on the road to, I don't know how far I taped it. So this is the highway. We take this to school. This little bumpy road. It's a really, really bumpy ride. It's hard to bear. It's so bumpy. It's just really uncomfortable. I mean, you get used to it, but first time it was rough. To walk, it would be about, how long would it be? Like an hour and a half walk, maybe. So yeah. So, no, not really. Oh, is this stuff? So you can kind of see, this is the island I lived on. I lived down here, so it's a little nicer, a little more remote, not as crowded and things like that, but still lots of trash around and stuff like that. So, yeah. Not really. There was one time there was like a monsoon, but it wasn't too bad. All right, how do I get out of this? All right, so rules of advice if you want to go there. Don't promise anything if you're not going to follow through, because they'll hold you to it, and they'll never let you forget it. And I still get messages from people that tell me I didn't do this thing or whatever. So definitely don't do that, because they will not forget. Don't let anyone borrow anything, otherwise you'll never see it again, because they just think borrowing is sharing, and if you give it to them, it's essentially theirs, and they can do whatever they want with it. And if they break it, it's your fault. Anytime they borrow something, it does come back defective once you get it back. So don't let anyone see things that you don't want them asking to borrow. So like your phone, like don't let them know that you have a phone, or like some fancy headphones or a laptop or things like that. Like do your best to try and like keep it hidden, because the second they see it, they'll ask you for it, and then so you always have to feel bad saying no, and they'll be like, you're mean, like just to make you feel bad about it and stuff like that. Yeah. So learn the language, because they get really excited. If you can just say hello in Marshallese in a couple words, they get really, really excited. You have to talk like a robot. By that, I just mean you need to talk really slow, because their English is not very good. Girl, if you're a girl, you need to cover your shoulders and your knees. Don't like wear a tank top or bikini or anything like that. I mean, you can, but I don't think you're scandalous. And it's starting to get more loose, as I would say, but I still want to do it known as the girl on the island and things like that. You shouldn't do things that set a bad example. Like a lot of the volunteers I was with, they drank and smoked, and I thought that just sets a bad example, because anything you do, well, they're essentially just kids watching their parents. That's how it feels. So anything they see the Americans do, that's what they think is cool, and that's the behavior that they follow. So a lot of the volunteers, they would go out drinking and stuff like that. So I just think it sets a bad example. So I recommend not doing that. Just do it in the privacy of your own home. If you want free food, just wander around the island, around dinner time, and they'll invite you in. You just happen to be go say hi to someone around dinner time, and if they have food, they will give it to you. And be prepared to be a celebrity. I know what it feels like to be a celebrity, because everyone loves you, and they want to talk to you, and they're always bothering you, and you'll have swarms of kids just running around you and things like that. So stared at all the time. So third world problems that they have, high rates of obesity, very poor nutrition. I think I would say 96% of the women are obese. So really high. There are unskilled people. Most don't even have, a lot of them are losing their traditional skills now. And they don't even get really that many skills from school, because the education system's so bad. Corals are dying. No financial stability, really. Alcoholism is getting big. Suicide. And the mail system's also really bad. If you send anything over there, make sure you wrap it in tinfoil, otherwise the rats will get it, and they steal things out of your packages and stuff like that. So they steal the volunteers checks, teaching checks sometimes, so they can steal a lot of money. So yeah, I think that's it. Any questions?